I really pray that God can give me the words so that when the leaders hear them today, their hearts are softened. Because for 22 months, I have been screaming as a conservative Christian to my Republican leaders to stop funding a genocide. But what I am witnessing this week, the forced starvation of babies. They are not allowing baby formula to reach babies. The level of evil that it takes to make a decision to starve a baby as a means of war, as a weapon of war. What have we come to as a humanity? What have we come to as a country where we are normalizing the blocking of food to a baby to force a political organization to change their mind? This is not political. I have identified as a Republican, conservative Christian my entire life, and I stand unequivocally in solidarity with Rashida Tlaib, the only Palestinian American in this office. Her people are being genocided. Her people are being starved. Enough! We have enough. The American people have spoken. And it is time for our leaders to listen. The people will only escalate until you listen. Lift the blockade on Gaza now. Feed these babies now.
My name is Stacy Gilbert. I've worked in humanitarian assistance for almost 30 years until I resigned from the State Department last year in protest of a State Department report to Congress that said Israel was not blocking aid. I had worked on that report and I knew that was not the truth. But I want to give you a little bit of context here with all the things that you're hearing from my perspective as a humanitarian. I have never, in my 30 years working in this field, seen a situation where there has to be a category to enumerate the number of people regularly killed on their way to get humanitarian assistance. That has never happened. Also, when people talk about children starving, when you see these heartbreaking pictures, think about it. In your own family, if you're out camping, if you're on a trip, if there's not enough food, who eats first? It's not the adults, it's the children. If the children are starving, it's because there is no food left. I also want to say famine is not a foregone conclusion in a conflict. It only happens in modern times when aid is deliberately blocked. Think about that. I am calling on Trump to make a break with this policy that started under Joe Biden, this disastrous policy of unconditional military support for Israel. Make a break with that, with Biden's disastrous policy. I'm calling on my former colleagues at the State Department, DOD, the intelligence community, the National Security Council, to uphold your oath not only to the Constitution, but an unspoken oath to truth. And make sure you are not denying the reports that are coming in from the ground, that you put those in your reporting all the time. Regardless of who may delete it later, put it in. Make sure it is there. And I'm calling on all federal employees who still have a job in this administration. Now is not the time to be comfortable. Now is not the time to fund your retirement account or your children's future college education. You need to put that money into organizations that are on the ground providing assistance, to journalists who are on the ground reporting the truth, to advocacy organizations. Now is not the time to be comfortable or complicit or complacent. My mantra through all of this has been, evil wins when good people do nothing. I am calling on every single person to do something every single day to stop this. The tide is turning, I believe that, but it's not turning fast enough for the people who are dead and dying in Gaza. Thank you.
My name is Hanny Nofal. I was a submarine officer for over 10 years, and I resigned in November 2023 during the Biden administration when I recognized very early on that this was in fact a genocide, and the United States government was fully and unequivocally backing that genocide. I'm only coming out now because I had to wait until the expiration of my active duty service to be able to speak out, but I'm coming out now to say that I do not support what the U.S. government has been promoting in Gaza for the last 22 months. 250 years ago, at the dawn of this nation, George Washington gave us a warning. In his farewell address, he cautioned us against the insidious wiles of foreign influence and pleaded with future generations to preserve the independence of our political institutions from entangling alliances and passionate attachments abroad. He did not do this out of isolationism or fear, but out of the deep understanding that the strength of the Republic lies not in its might, but in its moral clarity. Not in who it can dominate, but in who it can resist. I speak to you today as someone who wore the uniform of this country for over a decade, who stood the watch aboard a nuclear submarine as an officer, entrusted with one of the most powerful arsenals on Earth. I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I took the oath seriously, but I have come to understand that threats to our republic do not always arrive in the form of armies or missiles. Sometimes they arrive as ideologies, quiet, corrosive, and clothed in the language of friendship. And today, the greatest test of our national integrity is not in the South China Sea or the Persian Gulf. It is Gaza. What is unfolding in Gaza is not a conflict. It is not a war between equals. It is a calculated starvation, bombing, and displacement of a captive civilian population executed by the Israeli government and made possible by the full backing of the United States. Let us be honest, without the billions in military aid to end the uninterrupted flow of weapons, the diplomatic shielding at the United Nations,